Welcome to SENS Talk. My name is Brendan. I'm your host. Let's get started. The Ottawa Sounders are playing against the Florida Panthers today. Very big game for the Sounders and the Panthers. I'll get to that later. And both teams are very desperate right now, trying to get chasing that second wildcard spot, and maybe even the Washington Capitals for the first wildcard spot. Let's start talking about the game. Is a back-to-back game for Toronto Maple Leafs, and then the Florida Panthers, the Ottawa Sounders are playing against those both teams. So last night, the Sounders played against the Toronto Maple Leafs. Very entertaining game, and start off with the box score. So the first period, very defensive play, some good chances for the Sounders, but they couldn't get in the back of the net. They were making sure they were making sure no hard shots on Anderson would come in because he just got injured. He started the game, obviously. But Mark Stone, like 4 minutes into the second period, scored assist by Clark MacArthur and Kyle Turris. Well-executed play. It's nice passing. This game, there was a lot of nice passing by the Sounders here, which led to this goal. Then Curtis Lazar was a pass from Jean-Gabriel Pageau and Eric Condra. Curtis Lazar's shot, he scored 3 goals in his past 4 games. Maybe it's the hamburger he ate when they threw hamburgers and he ate it on the ice in the Canadian Tire Center. Maybe that's why he's so good. I don't know. But it tipped off the defenseman's stick from the Toronto Maple Leafs and it just passed Reimer top shelf. No chance for Reimer to redeflected. Great goal, 2-0. But right away, no. In the third period, the Leafs got on the board. It was a beautiful pass from Phil Kessel to Van Riemsdyk. Van Riemsdyk passed it all over to Tyler Bozak, and he just had to tip it in right behind Anderson. 2-1 game. But the Sounders were not done there. Kyle Turris scored assisted by David Legwand and Erik Karlsson. It bounced off Reimer's blocker and then went in, so it was deflected off his blocker and in. But don't count the Leafs out in this game. They played a hell of a game. Tyler Bozak again scored by James Van Riemsdyk and Phil Kessel. Just tipped off Anderson's pad, I think, and then went bar in on the crossbar and then went just hit in the mesh and in. No chance for Anderson there. He had 27 saves last night. And then to tie it up, it was Tyler Bozak for his first career hat trick in the NHL. This is by James Van Riemsdyk and Morgan Riley. He tipped it just in front, so when Anderson, like he's a hybrid goalie, so here his pads, they went like this. It just tipped and went in, and Anderson, he is a hybrid goalie. No, it was a beautiful tip. Well, very, very nice play by Van Riemsdyk. That was in the last few minutes, and then in the third period, Phil Kessel skates in hard into the neutral zone, into the center zone. He shoots it. He passes it to Bozak. He hits it off the post. Scramble from the net. Anderson's scrambling, and Brewer taps it in and scores. It's the Leafs come back and win 4-3 in overtime. What a embarrassing loss. What an unfortunate loss. The Sounders played 45 minutes of the game. They did not play 50. They did not play 60 minutes. They played 45. They played a great game until the 45-minute mark. Then all of a sudden it was all Leafs. They were just standing there. They weren't covering the men that they had to. All goals that really happened besides the overtime goal were all defensive mistakes. They definitely should have covered a little bit more, and that's kind of why we lost. They needed to cover a little bit more. They needed to execute better, and they just at the end they just stopped trying at the end of in the third period. So now it's the Florida Panthers lost against the Montreal Canadiens 3-2 in overtime yesterday. If they would have won that game, they would have been 2 points out. Plus, today they're playing against the SENS. So if they would have won the game today too, they would have been tied for the Sounders in points and back in the wildcard spot chase. And now the Sounders, this is probably the third or fourth biggest game of the season. Every single game now is big. But if the Sens win this game, they gain ground on Boston and go away from Florida. So this is a good game all around for the standings. Boston's not playing today. If we win today, we're in the playoffs. We don't. Florida's 1 point ahead of us, and Boston's still a point ahead of us. So we're kind of in the middle. We need to win this game. So the Sounders are playing against the Florida Panthers, like I said. Hold on, let me. Sorry. Got it loaded. Okay, so the Florida Panthers are 34, 26, and 15. The Sounders are 37, 25, and 12. The Panthers have scored 178 goals. They've allowed 205 goals, though. Sorry. Their current overtime loss streak is 1. Their power play needs some improvement. It was 15.25. The The Sounders, they've scored 211 goals. They've only allowed 199 goals, so you can see there's a little difference. We've scored more goals and allowed less goals, so better margin there. Their current losing streak in overtime 2 is 1 game, and their 16.53 power play. This game is on RDS and TSN5 at 5 p.m. Eastern Time on March 29th. Right, March 29th? Yeah, March 29th. And in Florida, you can watch this on Florida, Fox Sports Florida, I guess. Yeah. So the lineups. The Florida Panthers lineup is Jonathan Huberdeau, Alexander Barkov, Jaromir Jagr. Jaromir Jagr, he says he wants to play in Florida for another 7 years. I say why not? He's a great player. He could chip in. He plays very well for any position. He can play defensively. He could get in front of the net. He could start a little scramble. Very good player on my part, I think. Brandon Peary, Vincent Trocheck, Jimmy Hayes. UC Jokinen, Dave Bolin, Brad Boyes, Scotty Upshall, Derek McKenzie, Thomas Kopetsky, defenses Brian Campbell, the youngster Aaron Ekblad, Willie Mitchell, Eric Edwardson, Dmitry Kulikov, Alek Petrikov, and Bobby Lou, Roberto Luongo starting in net. Scratch is Stefan Camper and Sean Thornton. Injured is Al Montoya and Nick Bustad. The Sounders lineup, Clark MacArthur, Kyle Turris, and Mark Stone. I like the way Clark MacArthur returned and got an assist in the game. And he played a decent game, actually. He got in the right zone. He got a huge hit on the boards, though. The Leafs player hit him really hard on the boards. But he got up and continued to play hard. Great. One of the best Sounders on the ice side of the game. Mike Hoffman, Mika Zibanejad, and Bobby Ryan. That line was tearing it up last night, as Condra, Pajot, and Lazar were also tearing it up. Greening, David Legwin, and Alex Giasson. Mark Mathot, Erik Karlsson, Jared Cow, and Cody Ceci. Erik Karlsson, he played good, but he was a little scrambly, I find. Jared Cowan's back in the lineup with Ceci, Mark Borietzky, and Eric Gryba. Starting in again is Craig Anderson. The Hamburglar Andrew Hammond is backing up. He almost is ready to maybe start. Scratches Zach Smith and Patrick Weir-Koch. I don't know why they scratched Zach Smith. I thought he played a very good game versus the Toronto Maple Leafs, but I'm not the management, but on my part, I would have scratched probably maybe Chiasson or Colin Greening. They didn't get into the zone. They didn't pass it. They weren't getting open. Zach Smith almost had a breakaway. The defense by the Leafs took it away. But he played a great game. I don't know why he doesn't deserve to be scratched unless there's something wrong, injured or something. And that's all I think. Injured is Robin Leonard, still with a concussion. Chris Phillips still with a back injury. Chris Neal with a thumb injury. Milan McCulloch with an upper body injury. And Matt Pumple with an ankle injury. Barkov has 2 goals and 3 assists in his past 3 games. Huberdeau has 2 goals and 2 assists in his past 3 games. Jaromir Jagr has 3 assists in his past 3 games. Lazar has 2 goals in his past 2 games. That's really good. And Condra has 2 assists in his past 2 games. So, I'm going to be very honest here. This could go either way. I think this game's going to go to overtime. I think the Sens could win this game 3-2 in overtime because Luongo is very good, but I think Anderson, he's gonna learn from his mistake. The Sens are gonna focus. This is a must-win game for sure. I think they're gonna get in the open areas, get in front of Luongo, screen him, get a tip in, get something going. But I think it's gonna be a 3-2 win in overtime or a 3-2 loss in overtime for the same reason for the Florida Panthers. I find Luongo and Craig Anderson are very similar in positioning and the way they play and the way their teams play in front of them. Both young teams, both have great players, and it should be a hell of a game for the final wildcard spot. Again, it's basically the wildcard spot is Boston, Ottawa Sounders, and Florida Panthers. So this should be a fun game. Follow us on Twitter at SensTalk1992. Like us on Facebook at SensTalk. Add us to your circles of Google Plus at SensTalk. Follow us on Vine at SensTalk Productions and click the big red button down there and subscribe to us. I'll see you in the post-game reports. Sens are playing against the Panthers, do it or die game. If the Panthers win, they'll be 1 point behind us. They'll be tied with us for points, which we cannot have, obviously. So 5 p.m. Eastern Time game, March 29th, 2015. TSN 5, RDS, and Fox Sports Florida. I'll see you in the post-game report. Go Sens, go.